Okay. We're holding on Ches Amud Aleph. I think we're up to the words Rebbe Pasach Eitzrus. Yeah. Okay. I thank Hashem that we're able to learn Torah every day. That's about learning. We should have the Beis Hamikdash. And we're learning Lula Nishmas Abigal the Basra Yaman and the Sanos Ben and for Shlema for David Ben Sarah and Kedali gets Eliezer Ben Pegitzipara. Okay. We've been learning about the obligation that goes on community members to set up security for the city, to fix the wall and all of that. Rebbe Pasach Eitzrus B'Shnei B'Tzeiros. Rebbe opened up the storage houses during the years of famine to feed everyone. I guess Rebbe was very wealthy, so he was going to feed the community. Amar, he says, Yikansu Bali Mikra, Bali Mishnah, Bali Gemara, Bali Halacha, Bali Agada, Bali Ami Aretz, Al Yikansu. There's one way to get people to do well on their tests. He says, whoever who reads Chumash, experts in Chumash, experts in Mishnah, experts in Gemara, experts in Halacha, experts in Agadata, homiletical interpretations. All of those can come in and eat, but the ignoramuses, they should not come in. Right? This would work well in the yeshiva kitchen. And, if you don't do well on your test, no lunch. Well, anyway, Dachak Rabbi Yonasan ben Amram ben Nichnas. Rabbi Yonasan ben Amram, he pushed his way in. Amalai, Rebbe Parnaseni says, Rebbe, support me. Amalai Beni Karisa says, my son, have you read the Chumash? Amalai says, no. Amalai Lav says, Shanisa, have you learned Mishnayos? Amalai Lav. He doesn't go further. Halacha, Agada, I guess if you don't know Chumash or Mishnah, you probably don't know the others. Imkain b'ma farnaseh. So he says, so what merit do you have that I should support you? Amalei Parnaseni kekelav v'karv, support me just like a dog and a raven, that they get their food and they're not scholars. Yeah.
Sounds like the story of a person who wanted to ask his rabbi who should drive a nice car. Parking shul.
No.
He was afraid that getting a nice car would bring that car.
Oh.
So he asked his rabbi, like, should I get this car?
Okay.
Oh yeah. He said, like, well, do you know like Gemara? Have you memorized like Mishnayos or anything like that? It's like, no. It's like, well, have you learned the blot of Gemara or anything? The cards? And he's like, no. He said, don't worry, no one will be jealous.
Okay, that's good. I like that.
Question. Since he's called Rebbe, doesn't that by definition mean he's a person who had smicha?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. You'll see in a second. Wait a second.
Right.
Yeah. That's a little clue in Sherlock Holmes. Yeah, that you figured something out. You'll see. Parnaseh, Rebbe gives him food. Basra Daf, after he goes, Yosef Rebbe become a star. Rebbe was sitting and he was felt bad. Whoa, what a waste. I've given food to an ignoramus. Amalafan of Reb Shimon bar Rebbe. Shimon bar Rebbe says, maybe that was Yonasan ben Amram, your student, that he never wants to take honor from Torah. He doesn't want to take benefit from the honor of Torah. In other words, he doesn't want to use the Torah to give him benefit. But they checked him, so sure enough, there was him. Amar Rebbe says, Yikansu Akal, everyone should enter. There's a concern that maybe there was other people that didn't want to use the Torah to say that they were a sage in order to get food, so he opened the doors to everyone. Now, Rebbe Letameh, this follows Rebbe's reasoning, that the reason why punishment comes to the world is because of the ignoramuses. Now, the Reb Naftali, the Gemara, when writing the story, the Gemara puts his name in there as Rebbe Yonasan ben Amram. Yeah, if it would be more dramatic, it would have left out, it would have said Dachak Echad Benichnas or something, it wouldn't have told me anything. But it wasn't into the drama. So it told the giveaway was there at the beginning, the clue.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
He told me, oh, what you
Right.
made a dog or a baby.
Right. Yeah.
There's a parallel here with the Hillel saying Eliyahu Navi, who was stopped coming to a chassid because of similar things.
He stopped because the chassid didn't want to give, or he blocked the door for the poor.
Yeah, but then so then a poor person comes and they're gonna say, "Oh, do you learn Torah?" That seems to be a blockage also. Like,
Right. Now Hillel's saying that the comparison is not perfect. When Rabbi Yonasan ben Amram says, "Support me like a dog and a raven," so the dog and the raven, they don't have any job to study Torah. So it's not like they failed at their mission. So whatever the mission is, whatever the mission of a dog is or a raven, whatever it is, they probably did, and they get supported. But this person had a job; he was supposed to be studying Torah, and he wasn't. So maybe that's worse than a dog and a raven. That's Hillel's question.
And just like sustain me as you would. It's not like he's saying, oh, Hashem sustains like everybody. Like people that don't mission.
these are two animals that are associated with negative qualities, right? The Orv is very cruel, right? And
Right.
the Kelef has no limits, right? It has very much associated with the Klipa passions, right? Especially in those days.
Right. Right. So that's an answer. You're giving me an answer. You're saying maybe the raven also has a mission that he's supposed to be feeding his family and he doesn't. Maybe the dog has some mission that he's not fulfilling or something like that. So that would be an answer to the question. Right. Yeah. And this is very in contrast to what Chassidus talks about. The Baal Shem Tov, that he came to uplift all the people that were on the Aretz and all of that. And then in the writings of the Frierdiker Rebbe and the Zechrinus, he writes that the Amei Aretz they have in the soil, in the ground, deep in the ground is all the treasures of the minerals and the diamonds and all of that is in the ground. And also when you dig down into the Amaretz, you find all these treasures, the pure faith and all of that. Anyway, okay. What happened? How does this Rebbe Latamei? Dama Rebbe says that in it's because of the Amaretz Gahu to make Kalila Shadu Atveria. What happened was, in Tveria, there was a crown tax that was placed on the city. So, everyone in the city has to pay. So Asal Kami the Rebbe, they came to Rebbe, let the yeshiva students, let the rabbis also pay for the whole city. Amalei, Rebbe says no, the yeshiva students don't pay that tax. Amalei Arakina, the Amayaretz, they threatened Rebbe, they said, we're going to run away and we're going to leave all the tax just on the yeshiva. So you'll be the ones responsible for everything. Amalei Aruka, Rebbe says, go ahead. Don't threaten me. Run away. Arku Palginu. Half of them ran away. It's not so simple to run away. Dalyu Palga. So it turns out the next announcement was that half the tax is was dropped. So Asa Hanapalga came to Rebbe. The other half said, "Oh no, they come to Rebbe. Amalei let the yeshiva students pay the tax." Amalei light. He says no. Arukinan. He says we're also going to run away. Says Arukus, go ahead, run away. Arkukulu, they all ran away. So Pasha hu kaivis shadu kaivis. The entire tax fell just on this one launderer that didn't run away. Arakaivis, he says that I can't handle such a large amount of money. He ran away. So Paka Klila. So they stopped the tax.
Yeah, it's not in Israel right now.
So yes.
But they're not running away yet.
So Paka Klila, the tax stopped, which means I'm a Rebbe, Risim Shem Pranus Bala'ilam, Bishul Amiaretz. If there's no Amiaretz, there's no tax.
The crown tax then Amaris.
They tax the city. The people in the city, Amiaretz, they wanted the yeshiva students also to pay equally,
Share the burden.
Right.
So this was a tax that Rebbe put on
Yeah.
the people,
No, this was the crown.
the government.
Yeah.
What they want Rebbe to do about it?
Because Rebbe had said that the yeshiva students don't pay the tax.
Yeah, it came
Oh,
up with the city as a whole.
Right.
And
Parsonage.
okay.
No, it doesn't mean to buy a crown. No, it's called a crown tax, but it means that it's a tax that's imposed by the emperor. Kalila means a crown. They're saying Rashi says that it's to purchase a crown.
Yeah, actually, there's an historian that says it started out that way. When a new king would come in, he would level, according to this historian, he would level a special tax to pay for the crown, a new crown.
New
But
crown.
then they liked it, so they started using it for lots of things.
sounds right.
The Aruch has an interesting thing over here. The Aruch says that the tax, Nignav Nezer Hamelach, says the tax, that was stolen. And the king said that it's because of the Jews.
Yeah.
So the Jews had to pay for it. Okay. I didn't realize that it was that Rashi was saying that you had to replace it. I know, but I thought that Rashi meant that he was translating the word Kalila, which means the crown, for the Caesar, which means that it was a crown tax. And the crown tax doesn't mean that you replace the crown. But here it's they're translating that Rashi means that to actually buy a crown. Okay. Now it says, how long do you have to stay in the city to become one of the people of the city, to be responsible to pay for the security and all of that? We said 12 months. Right? That's what the Mishnah said. The Mishnah said 12 months. Unless you buy a house, then it's different. But it says Ramini, the contradiction. It says a chameras, if there's a caravan that's of donkey drivers, a gamelas and a caravan of camel drivers. They versed me makam lamakam, that's going from place to place, and it turns out that they ended up spending the night in the Irani Dachas, a city that's worshiping idols, and they're going to get they're all going to get killed, and all the money is going to be destroyed. And they're there for that night. And they end up getting worshiping idols together with this everyone else in the city. So Haim Beskila, Mamaynim Palak. So they get killed with skila, but that's the skila with the stoning. That's the punishment for a regular person that worships idols. That's not the punishment for Irani Dachas. Irani Dachas is they get killed by the sword. And also the money gets destroyed. But here, they're not killed by the sword. They're killed by a skila. And also the money is saved. The money goes to the inheritors. It doesn't get destroyed. So they're not really part of the city. But if they're there for 30 days, then they're part of the city. and they're considered not just like an individual that worship idols, they're considered part of the Ir Nidachas, the city of idol worshippers. And they get killed by the sword and the money is destroyed. So it's a contradiction to what we learned, that you have to be in the city 12 months. Here it says only 30 days. Amar Rava like Kash. Rava says it's not a contradiction because it depends. Do you want to be a settler, a resident, or do you want to be a member? So to be a resident, that could take 30 days. To be a member of the city, then that takes 12 months. Someone says, I don't want any benefit from the people of that city. Then anyone that lived there for 12 months, this fellow can't have any benefit from them because that person is a member of the city. He was there for 12 months. But if he's not there 12 months, then he can't have benefit. If he says, I don't want to have benefit from the residents of the city, not from the people of the city, but from the residents of the city, they're just people that reside there. And once they're there for 30 days, then they're already considered residents. It's less than 30 days. Okay. So we learned the difference over here that depends if they have to be, see the pasuk by Ir Nidachas, it says Yoshvei Ha'ir, the residents of the city. It doesn't say the members of the city. Sometimes you ask people, where are you from? You say, well, I live in Miami, but I'm from, like a different, there's two answers there. So the one is I'm the Anshe from Eretz Yisrael or whatever, but I'm a Yoshvei Miami.
Comes a certain point of time where someone just says they're from where they already live.
Yeah,
It's been so
according
long.
to this, it's 12 months.
12 months.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes people give you a hard time and you say, what do you do? And they say, what do you mean, for work? Well, sort of what I meant, but say, well, I read books, I fish in my free time. Okay, so the Gemara now asks, and for everything, does it take 12 months? But Tani, we have a brisa, there's a food kitchen that will support the poor of the city. So when do you have to contribute to that? That's when he lived in the city for 30 days. Then there's another tzedakah fund in the city that was for other things. That's if you're in the city for 3 months. Shisha leksus, if you're in the city for 6 months, then you should support the clothing fund. Tisha, if you're in the city for 9 months, then lekfura, then you should fund the burial society that supports the poor people that don't have money for the funeral. Shnei masar lepasier, in 12 months is for the pillars of the city, which means the city security. Well, what we're saying that it takes 12 months for everything. Here it's only 12 months for one thing, but there's a bunch of other things that are much less than that. Don't worry, that's not a question. Because when our Mishnah said that it's 12 months, we're talking about 12 months for the city security. That's what we were talking about. So it's not a contradiction. Yeah, there's other things, but that's not what the Mishnah was talking about. When it comes to the city security, everyone has to contribute, even the orphans. But not the sages. That's Rabbi Yochanan. The Rabbanan because the Rabbanan don't need that because they don't need to be guarded. I guess the Torah protects them.
What's Pasier?
Pasier is the pillars of the city, which means security. I'm translating as security, but Amar Rav Papa. Rav Papa says, L'shura, to construct the wall. I'm sorry. Boards. Okay.
Like the walls.
The walls. The Pasha, there was a horseman that would ride around the city, outside the city, the guard. That's another type of protection. I'm sorry, security. Yeah, Tarzina, and this has nothing to do with Tarzan, but it's Tarzina is a compound word. It's supposed to be Natar Zina, the person that guards the ammunition, the weapons, guards the weapons. Natar, the nuns fall out sometimes. So Natar means the guard, and Zion is the weapons. Afilu miyasmi, all of these it's taken from the orphans. Aval Rabbanan loy tricha netirus, but the rabbis, they do not need to be guarded. Klal the milsa, the rule, the general rule is kol milsa dislu hanamine afilu miyasmi. Anything that the city has benefit from, then we take even from the orphans. Or if the orphans will have benefit from that, then we collect from them as well. Rabba Rami Tzedakah Yasmi the Beit Bar Miriam. Rabba collected tzedakah from the orphans of Beit Bar Miriam. We've had them before. I don't remember exactly where, but they've come up. Amalei Abaya said, "Vatani Rav Shmuel Bar Yehuda in place Kansaka Leisem Filipidin Shvuyim." That we don't even collect for Pidin Shvuyim from the orphans. Amalei Ana Lachshavinu Kavidna. How do they translate that? Right after that, how does Rabbi explain? Because they're important. Make them prominent. Make them be significant members of the community. Ifra Hormiz Amy Dishfor Malka. This woman, Ifra Hormiz, the Gemara tells us that she was very beautiful. Rashi says Yoifi Shedim. She had the beauty of a demon. I'm not sure. I think some wanted to read that Yoifi Shadayim, something that her breasts were beautiful. But I think most people read that. It's not Rashi here. It's Rashi, some other Gemara that said that she had the beauty of a demon. I don't know about that demon or demon's beauties. I'm not familiar with that. But Hermes is one of the Greek gods, right? Isn't one of the Greek Hermes?
Hermes, yeah, I think so. I think that sounds right.
Anyway, so she was the mother of Shavar Malka, was King Shavar, was the Persian king. She sent a purse of coins to Rabbi Yosef. Amr, she said, let it be for a great mitzvah. Yosef Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef was sitting with Kamayanba and he's looking into this. My mitzvah rabbah, what's a mitzvah rabbah that she wants this to be spent on? Abaya says, Rav Shmuel Bar Yehuda in place says you don't put tzedakah, you don't have the orphans give tzedakah even if it's such an important thing like Pidin Shvuyim, redeeming captives. So Shema Mina must be, if that was the extreme, it must be Pidin Shvuyim mitzvah, but that's the great mitzvah. Amalei Rabba Bar Mari. Rabba says to Rabba Bar Mari. I wonder if he is associated with the Beit Bar Miriam. You know how Milsa Damar Rabbanan the Pidin Shvuyim mitzvah. How do you know that Pidin Shvuyim is such a great mitzvah? Amalei says the Ksiv when they will say to you, Ananetzi, where should we go? Ba'amrit Aleim, you'll say to them, Kayamar Hashem. So says Hashem, Asher lamaves lamaves. Those that are meant to die will die. Those that are meant to get killed by the sword will get killed by the sword. Those that are meant to starve will starve. Those that are meant to be captives will be taken captives. I don't know exactly in Yirmiyah what this was referring to. Maybe it's the people that were leaving Eretz Israel. They wanted to go to Egypt. Maybe I'm guessing that. Yeah.
Can we offset those things by personal effort? On the big side of the scale?
I think so. So what we're trying to find over here is Pidyon Shvuyim. That why it's so important, why redeeming captives is so important. Rabbi Yechanan, we're not finished. We just quoted a pasuk. Rabbi Yechanan says, what's later on in this verse is worse than what's preceding it. Cherev kashem imavis. The sword is worse than death. Now, the sword is also death. How does the sword worse than death? We could say that there's a pasuk. We could say that it's logical. If you want to say it's logical, like a minval. Someone dies naturally, so he doesn't get, the body doesn't become mutilated. Here the body is mutilated. You could say the pasuk says Yakab Beni Hashem Amavsala Chasidav. It's precious to Hashem that when the righteous die, the death of the righteous, which means that if they die naturally, so that's precious. That's not as bad as being killed by the sword. Oh, just the future exile. Okay.
What's gonna look like?
It doesn't say which exile. But... Rav Kasha Mecherev. The hunger is worse than the sword. Iba Yisei Masvara. It's probably Iba Yisei Makra, Iba Yisei Masvara, yeah. The Bach has in the... If you want, you could say a pasuk that tells me this. If you want, we could say that it's logic. I come at star, I like him at star. When it comes to hunger, the hunger is more painful, is more suffering. The sword is just quick. There's no suffering. Iba Yisei Makra, the pasuk would tell me, better those that died by the sword than those that died from hunger. And Shvi, Kashmikulam, the Kulu Isnambe, because when a person's taken captive, he could be subject to the sword, he could be subject to hunger. There's all possible problems goes on with the captive.
So what does that have to do with?
Saying that Shvi, Shavai,
Also, therefore, to save your matter,
all suffering is in the captive. They have all the problem.
and that's why saving.
And that's why saving in this would be the big mitzvah. Paisvis on the top says that when it says when you sell a Sefer Torah, you're allowed to sell a Sefer Torah to study Torah to get married. Why doesn't it say Pidyon Shvuyim? You see what Paisvis answers? He says that was so obvious it wasn't necessary to say it. Yeah. So there's a discussion if Pidyon Shvuyim applies today, when officially the government is
Charge.
has a legal system. Is that considered a show? If someone's put in prison because of something or whatever, we still say that it's Pidyon Shvuyim. I think that the place can say yes. I think that they say yes. But there were places that said no, it's only when it's tyrannical, it's only that's
Tyrants.
Same thing. That's right. I think that's not the way that the place can do it. That's why they say it. It's the same thing.
By the idea of
yeah, that goes in Pidyon Shvuyim. You're also saving his life. You're saving him from all the suffering plus his life, because you don't know what could happen to someone when he's taken captive. Taner Rabbanan. Started in a brayso, Kupa Shel Tzedakah. When it comes to fundraising, Nigvis Bishnayim should be two people that are getting collecting the money. Mischalekas Bishleisha. And when it's divided, when it's distributed, there should be three people that are distributing. I know that when they do a tzedakah fund, they always have two people signing on the checks. Two people on the account, or else there could be.
That's when they're giving it.
Oh, so here it goes. It's supposed to be three. So we'll see in a second the logic for this. I always understood that it had to do with trust. Yeah, the Gemara over here is not going to say that. We'll see it in a second. Because you can't impose anything on the community if you don't have two people there. And it's divided with three people, distributed. It's just like monetary law. You need three judges because you're going to decide: is he deserving? Is he not deserving? How much he gets? What's this? That's a big decision. That takes 3 people. Soup kitchen, that's collected with 3 people and it's also distributed with 3 people. And because the collecting it and distribution is equal, that has to do with it being distributed in the same day that it was collected. So because you're going to need people there, you don't have to go look for the 3rd guy to distribute it. You want him to be there the whole time to be able to distribute it right away. The soup kitchen is every day. Kupa, when it comes to that other charity collection, that's Erev Shabbos, Erev Shabbos. That's only from Friday to Friday. The soup kitchen is for anyone. And Kupa is that's just for the city poor. No, not for the world poor, but it's for the city poor. The people of the city, if they want, they could take the money that's meant for the kupa, for the tzedakah, for the people of the city, and they can turn it into the soup kitchen, which that's allowed. That's even for other support that show up, they can take from that, and it's also every day. Tamchi, they can also take from the soup kitchen kupa, and they make it just for the poor of the city once a week.
So anybody can walk in the soup kitchen and
and get food.
pour.
No, we're talking about poor, but poor from the city or poor from out of the city. For soup kitchen, the food is for everyone, and the money that gets distributed once a week, that's only for the city. Yeah, but the food is for everyone. Yeah, in what's it called in Baltimore, Rabbi Heinemann, when they go to tzedakah collectors come there, so he puts on the paper how much people should give.
Wow.
He doesn't. He says give them as much as a meal, give them as much as this. He decides like which what category they fall under, depending on the need. Looks into it. Over here, people show up. We have no clue what to give them. Give them $18. Give them $1. Could be an important cause. Could be not. Could be this. So he decides for the community. It makes it easier on the community, but it also makes it harder on the people to collect. This guy, he wants to get $100, and then he set the meal. So you give him only like $12 or whatever. Anyway, okay.
I was trying to remember Sadiq's name.
Yeah.
Per,
So
per person, like each person should give $12.
yeah, something like that. Yeah, I don't know the details of this, but it's a different system than what we have. So these gabayim are allowed to switch from one tzedakah to another. The people of the city are allowed to make enact about how measurements work. They're allowed to enact how the prices are supposed to go, and how much what's the minimal wage or maximum wage, whatever. And lasial kitzasim is also to punish if people violate the rules that the city set up. The city, like the unions, they can set these things up. Yeah, but that I don't think that was. This is alashara means that if people are raising the price because of hadassim are now in season or something, because everyone needs for the lulav, so they can set the price to say that you can't charge more than this, that type of thing. It would raise the price on fish because everyone needed fish for Shabbos. So Friday the price would go up. So you could make a rule that you can't do that. You're not allowed to make a ruling over the to show control over the city. You don't have 2 people. How do you know this? They, the plural, They will take the gold. It's talking about the collection for the Mishkan. You needed two people there. It's only because of it's a control issue, but it doesn't have to do with trust, which I thought all of this would have been trust. Turns out that no, it doesn't have to do with trust. This supports Reb Chanina. Rebbe even put two brothers, which would not be able to testify against one another, and he put them over in charge of the kupa, which was the weekly charity. And so obviously it doesn't have to do with trust, but it has to do with control. What is this concept of control? Because we can take collaterals, because we obligate people to give tzedakah. And
Say there that it's about control.
yeah. So yeah, I know Rav Hirsch, Rebbe spoke about this also, that tzedakah doesn't mean charity. Charity makes it look like it's voluntary, but really tzedakah is righteous. Tzedek is like justice. It's something
That's
that
why I was thinking about Ben Ish Chai, because I read this like 8-page thing. It said that even like the most serious of errors, that you can make them up by fast. It's like so many days of fasting. You can never do it. Sometime else. And then it also said that like also like major amounts of money, like 18 times a million or whatever, you could make up even like the most horrible of errors. So
sounds good.
so
You just have to get the
like,
money,
it's righteousness.
right? Yeah, the verse translates tzedakah as say it. Says something to duty. It's like you translate it as like an obligation.
I said the obligation there.
Right, Malaka time. The Gemara says, "Aini, is that so? That you can take collaterals and that type of thing for giving tzedakah? I'm going to take. I'm going to remember, and I'll take an accounting for all those that oppress them. I'm Rabbi Yitzchak Bar Shmuel Bar Marta. Shmei Rab. I feel like tzedakah that causes oppression on people. It's going to have to give an accounting. So it's like kasha the amid had b'layamid. That's not a problem. It depends if the person's rich or if he's not rich. Had the Rava Achbel Rav Nasan Barami because Rava forced Rav Nasan Barami and he took from him 400 coins for tzedakah. Yeah.
So can you make the case that Meister is like it's an obligation, but tzedakah is voluntary, or maybe both synonymous?
Yeah, well, it could be synonymous, but tzedakah could be regardless of Meister. Well, Maskilim Yasir Kuzayar Ikia. The Maskilim, the intellectual, is that the word? The wise people, they shine like the shine of the firmament. Maskilim Yasir Kuzayar Ikia. This is a pasuk in Daniel. Who is this that's going to shine? This is a judge that judges the true judgment. Taisus discusses what does it mean the true. Why is it emes lamitai? What is emes lamitai? Why is it different than emes? So emes is that it's not corrupt, and lamitai is that it's according to the law.
We have that in it's different than fair and equitable.
What would fair mean? Fair means that it's according to the law.
Yeah, I guess equitable has more to do with the process. Everybody is subject to the same process, and fairness is just that it was the just decision.
But I think what Taisus is adding in is that you can't just follow the strict rule when you know that the person's lying. Even though, well, according to the rule, I have two witnesses, so to yeah.
Ransom of Russia.
So he quotes the Masha. He therefore merits to shine like the true radiance of the firmament, which, although distorted into many hues by the earth's atmosphere, is indeed the color of sapphire, the very color of God's holy throne. I guess because he's able to see through the this person is using all of the legal system to make his case correct. He's got it, everything is checks off, but the judge knows that he's lying. So that's not emes lamitai. That would only be emes. Emes lamitai is that you have to use your other common sense. That just because you don't just follow the rules when you know it's not it's not accurate. So yeah, I don't know how much. It's probably that must be a tough call. How much leeway the judge has to say, I don't care what the rules are. This is ridiculous. This is the judge can do.
There are others who say Samito means pshara because in a regular din, there's a loser and a winner, and the loser is often not going to think it was a true din. But pshara, they've agreed up front that they accepted.
Yeah. It's good. Unless sometimes you end up with pshara, you make two people don't think. Okay. So the gabayt is missed one. Masiki rabim kekechavim lo'ilam ba'ad. Those that but how to translate masiki rabim? Those that do righteousness for the public, they shine like stars forever. Elo gabayt tzedakah. These are the people that collect tzedakah. Masnisatana v'maskilim yasir k'zeriki. We have a brisa that says slightly different. Who is shining like the shine of the firmament? Zedayin shedan din emes lamite v'gabayt tzedakah. Both of those are shining. The judge and the tzedakah kechvim lo'ilam ba'ad. Elo malamdi tonight, because these are school teachers. Going my. Who's like what type of school teacher are you talking about? Rav says Rav Shmuel Bar Shelas. Like Rav Shmuel Bar Shelas, he was a school teacher. He was actually a student of Rav, and Rav is using him as an example. The Rav Ashkechel Rav Shmuel Bar Shelas Davikoi begins. Rav found Rav Shmuel Bar Shelas that he was in the garden. What happened to your students? You have abandoned your trust. 13 years that I didn't take a break. I didn't check on my garden. And even now that I'm looking at the garden to see what's going on, even now I'm still thinking about the students. Rabbanan Mai, what about the Rabbanan? How do they shine and all of that? Those that love him will shine like the sun when it goes out in its strength. They have to stick together when they're going to collect money. They can't like go to different houses or whatever. So you go here, I'll go there, because they're supposed to be collecting it together. We said it didn't have to do with trust, right? It had to do with strara, it had to do with control. But this one can go to this gate and this one can go to the store as long as they can still see each other. That's what someone's added that in somewhere. Yeah, Rashi adds in. Bavad Shir's name. Matzah Mayis Bashuk. What happens if a Gabay Tzedakah is walking in the street and he finds some money? You can't put it into his pocket. You have to put it into the tzedakah pouch. But when he goes home, and then he can take it. It shouldn't look like he's taking it, even though he's allowed to take it. But he shouldn't show the public that he's doing that. Let's say someone owes the Gabay Tzedakah money, personally, money, not for the fund. But he's in the marketplace, everyone's watching. He shouldn't put it into his pocket unless it's a kind of sheet. So he should put it into the tzedakah pouch. When he comes home, he could take it. The Gabay Tzedakah has money, but they don't have enough pork. I have a comment on that. You should just know that it's not so simple. Yeah. So when it comes, what do they do with this money? So they have to exchange some coins. They didn't last long. They would have to exchange the copper coins with like this and that. So they exchange it with other people, but they shouldn't exchange it with their own money because that could become suspicious. Gabay tamchoy, someone that has a soup kitchen, what's it going to do with the food? He could sell it to others, but he shouldn't sell it to his own family to take it home. Right?
Say a poor person gets food donated to him.
Yeah.
Doesn't use it because he gets food from another source.
Yeah.
What does he do? What is okay to do with that food that he didn't use?
Yeah.
Is it okay to give it to the shul?
Yeah. He could probably even sell it. It's his. It becomes his. He's the poor guy. If he got it, it becomes his. He can do what he wants. Here we're talking about the collector. The collector has to be careful because the collector, if he's going to take it home, then that looks suspicious. Moishel tzedakah in meininasam shtayim el achas achas. Money, you don't count it. Two by two. You only count it one by one. Yeah, what's the issue over there? What does it say in the notes?
Well, Rashi, please.
I see Rashi. Suspect the collector of taking a donation of 2 coins, but recording only one and pocketing one for himself.
That's what it is.
So this is talking about when he's taking it, I guess when he's collecting it, it must be.
So is it better to give guys when we give them money, around to give them money on the computer?
I think either one is good.
They can take it.
Yeah.
Here it just says to avoid errors in tallying.
To avoid what?
Errors.
To avoid errors. Yeah. Rabaya says, Mireish originally, Lev Yosef Mar Tipi the Bekanishta. Rabba, who's Abaya's teacher, Mar, he would not sit on the mats in the shul. Given the Shamalad, the Tanya, since you heard what it started in Bryce, that the Gabbai Tzedakah, you see, it was collected. Those were donated, those mats. So, but because the Gabbai Tzedakah is allowed to switch from one tzedakah to another, then Habi Yosef, then he would sit on it. No, so it was taken from the tzedakah fund. So maybe it's only for the poor, but because you're allowed to switch from one to another, so then he started to sit on those mats. Originally, the master had two wallets. One was for the poor of the world, and one was for the poor of the city. Given the Shamalad, Rav Shmuel bar Tachlifa bar Avdimi, when he heard what Rav Shmuel bar Tachlifa bar Avdimi said, which he said, Ovid Chad Kisa, that you only have to make one wallet, V'asni Allah, and then you make a condition that if you want it, you give it to this, you want to give it to that. So Yanami Ovid Chad Kisa V'asni Allah. See, he would only have one wallet. He didn't have to walk around with two tzedakah wallets. Ravashi Amar Nasna Yanami Leitzrichna. Ravashi says that I don't even have to make any conditions. The kol dekasi, anything that comes. So daita didiyasi. They give it to me at my discretion. Whatever needs, they give it to me. I should do whatever whatever. Okay, let's leave it over there on the picture.
So there's no separation between donation and tzedakah and another category. Anyway, there's no separation between the different kinds of tzedakah, which is righteousness. Because I've asked a million people in tzedakah about it. It's in Chabad and Sephardic. Because where it came from, it was a very, very concise thing. There was like a donation if you donate like a big thing, in the shul, and then there was tzedakah, which were the poor people.
Uh-huh.
And then the third category, can't remember right now, was